so happy we alive.
The world that we know of, or that we're permitted to talk about. There are some projects that people don't want mentioned that we have not included in there because they're worried publicity might hurt their ability to conduct the studies. Not many of those, but you can look at their project page, and we're really trying in any way we can to facilitate the networking of information among researchers, to government officials, to users of these drugs in recreational and also therapeutic and personal growth contexts.
Well, Rick, I think personally, it's just a wonderful thing that MAPS exists, and that you guys are doing what you're doing. And I don't want to keep you from your other busy activities.
Okay, well, since we're here at a normal conference, let me just very briefly describe what we're doing with marijuana.
Great.
In order to make a drug into a medicine, you really need the drug. You need control over your product. What is it that you're testing? Right now, if you want to do research with marijuana, you have to get it from the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Their mission, of course, is to prevent drug abuse, which they, of course, define as drug use. Drug use is the same as drug abuse. And they're not very interested in trying to show what's good about marijuana. And the marijuana they happen to grow, they have a contract with Dr. El Soli at the University of Mississippi, who grows shitty pot and provides it to researchers. So, excuse me. But their research their marijuana cannot be used as a prescription medicine. NIDA has a contract to grow marijuana for research with Mississippi. All of Mississippi's product is owned by NIDA, and it can only be used for research. So if you're really trying to do drug development, you need a source of supply that's the same source that you use in the clinical trials that then you ask the FDA to approve for marketing. The FDA won't let you test one drug and then market another one. You have to test one drug and market it. So right now in America, really there's no potential to make plant marijuana into a prescription medicine. Although there are some studies that are starting that the government is reluctantly supporting because there's been so many state medical marijuana initiatives that have legalized it on a state level. The federal government feels that they have to do something. So first off, we're trying to develop a medical marijuana production facility to grow high-potency marijuana, which is safer. The government tries to say that higher potency pot is more dangerous. Actually, it's safer because people moderate how high they get, and if you can get to a certain point with less smoke and particulate matter, it's easier on the lungs.
Right.
Particularly if you're ill.
Right.
So we need a higher potency pot. So we've got an alliance with University of Massachusetts Amherst, Department of Plant and Soil Sciences, and we're now several years into this process of trying to get a license to set up this facility. No non-governmental private facility has been licensed in the last 60 years in America, but we think we'll be able to do it. It might take us a little bit longer. The DEA lost our license application for the first time, so 6 months went by and we're waiting for them, and then they say, hey, there is no application, we lost it. Then we faxed it to them, and then a month later they tell us, sorry.
You're persistent, aren't you?
Well, that takes a while, and so then they told us that our faxed application didn't count. Well, why do you think they said that? Because there wasn't an original signature, it was only a photocopy. So now we're working with Graham Boyd of the American Civil Liberties Drug Policy Litigation Project, and he's preparing a document on why U.S. international treaty obligations do not prevent such a license, which is what the DEA has informally told me. And we're working to try to get that license. We have state approval and university approval from the Massachusetts State Department of Public Health. So now we're trying to wrestle it out with the DEA. We're also trying to say that in order to really move through the FDA system, we have to reduce the risks as much as we can of the product. Higher potency is one way, but the other way is to recognize that in our country, in our culture, there's a prejudice against anything that's smoking. It's not just prejudice.
Right.
There's a lot of things.
There's a history
of
that.
Reason.
And, I think the medical profession's really been thrown off on that too. Because initially we were used in advertising tobacco products.
Yeah.
And then it's obviously been a disaster for our health of cardiovascular and pulmonary wise, and So, marijuana is just associated with a gateway to smoking and by physicians. And
Right. So, and since now there are some pharmaceutical companies, they're starting to get involved with marijuana extracts in order to really have a competing product that makes sense on a both safety and efficacy level. It's been necessary, I feel, strategically to develop, and also for the health of the patients, a non-smoking delivery system. But there's only one non-smoking delivery system that will still work with the plant, so that patients could be independent of the monopolized products sold to them at high cost by the pharmaceutical industry. And that's to be able to take the plant and then put it in a unit called a vaporizer, which heats the marijuana up, but it doesn't actually burn it. And once you get it close to the temperature of combustion, but not actually at that point, you get a vapor stream that comes out of the product, and that has a lot of the cannabinoids, and it doesn't have some of the harmful combustion products. So we've done $50,000 to $70,000 worth of research on what's in the smoke, and we're preparing to submit this data to the what's in the vapor, I should say. It's not smoke because you're not actually burning it. So in probably 2 months or so, we'll be submitting this information to the FDA and asking them what additional information do they need to know in order to permit this vaporizer unit to be used in clinical trials as a device. But we're showing, we basically proved the concept, and more people are using vaporizers, and I think that there's some benefit to that. I don't think that people who smoke high-potency pot through joints or through water pipes will end up getting cancer. There's no evidence that marijuana is directly linked to cancer of the lungs, and I think that it's still, though, from a political point of view, to help the FDA be able to justify to skeptical Congress and resistant Congress that if they make a good decision, we want to show that the non-smoking delivery system of vaporizer that works with the plant really is worthy of being made into a prescription medicine. So we're working on the vaporizer research.
yeah, it's breakthrough technology. I mean, I'd never heard of vaporizers until just a year or two ago, and it's just, I think it's wonderful. I immediately went and talked with the vice president of the hospital that I'm affiliated with, and we had a Indiana Normal medical marijuana meeting, and she gave everyone on the staff, which is several hundred doctors, information about it. I think it's wonderful. Personally, I'm thrilled.
Yes, we've done, actually.
I didn't even know that MAPS had anything to do with it. I'm glad you don't need much credit.
Well, I should say that we started the research with water pipes, and what we've shown is that water pipes are not helpful in reducing particulate matter. There are some water-soluble gases, and it cools the smoke, but the cannabinoids are pretty sticky, and the things that are liberated as you burn, the cannabinoids stick to it, and the water pipes will filter out. I mean, if you look at water pipes, there's a lot of gunk in there, but the important point is there's a lot of THC and cannabinoids in there. So the relative percentage of cannabinoids to particulate matter, which is what we're trying to change, we're trying to make it so that there's more cannabinoids and less particulate matter. And so vaporizers don't completely eliminate the particulate matter. When you heat the marijuana up, it's not just the cannabinoids. You do get some plant matter, but you don't get the combustion products, and you don't get as much of the plant matter. So the ratio is changed through a vaporizer. But through a water pipe, the ratio of cannabinoids to particulate matter is not changed. What's filtered is pretty much whatever goes through there. So you look at the gunk in your water pipe, bong water, and you think, wow, this is really doing me a lot of health benefits from particulate matter point of view, and it's not. That's what led us to the vaporizer research. All right, and then the other thing is that we've tried to work on sponsoring clinical trials with marijuana. I worked with Dr. Donald Abrams at UC San Francisco.
He was a wonderful speaker today, and thanks so much for being, he said you were influential in bringing him to the conference.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's a wonderful lecture.
I solicited him and I said, we will help you to work through the regulatory system. Doctors don't want to spend their time being politicians trying to get permission to research. They want to
You're saying a lot right there. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of doctors just want to practice medicine and help people, and this whole war on drugs and marijuana decriminalization it's just too much for a lot of physicians to deal with and do their practice too.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do is help doctors maneuver through the regulatory system. So MAPS will help them through my training from the Kennedy School and how to work through the system so that they can try to be doctors. We'll work on the political aspects of it and help them through the regulatory system.